Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. The rarest man in the room is the one who doesn't need it. In a world where everyone's trying to stand out, Sigma males are busy minding their own path. They don't show off, they don't chase, they don't compete for anyone's attention. And yet somehow, they're the ones who stay on her mind long after the conversation ends. Here's the truth. A Sigma male doesn't play by the usual rules of attraction. He doesn't try to impress her with loud gestures or empty promises. He impresses her by not needing to. While others talk about their value, he simply is valuable, through his actions, his silence, and the way he carries himself without asking for permission or applause. Women sense something different in him. It's not about looks, money, or status. It's about energy, a calm confidence, a mind that sees through games, a heart that doesn't beg, but stays grounded. In a sea of men trying to be liked, he's just real. And that makes all the difference. If you're a Sigma male, don't ever think you're not noticed because you're quiet. Don't ever think you're behind because you don't move like the rest. You were never meant to blend in. You were built to move differently. Women don't choose you in spite of your detachment. They choose you because of it. You give them something they can't fake: stability without noise, depth without pressure, and presence without performance. And that, my friend, is power. Let's dive in deeper, brothers. Number 1. He's the only one who isn't trying to win her. And that right there changes everything. You see, most men are wired to chase. They want to prove they're the best option, so they buy gifts they can't afford, send paragraphs of compliments, and try to stand out in ways that feel forced. It's a performance. And women can feel it. Deep down, they know when a man wants them just to validate himself. There's pressure in that. It doesn't feel real. But the Sigma male? He's not performing. He's not applying for a position in her life. He's just being himself, fully, calmly, unapologetically. He doesn't try to impress her with words. He lets his actions, his mindset, and his lifestyle do the talking. And the strange thing is, that's exactly what draws her in. Let's be real. In a world where people are constantly trying to be noticed, someone who doesn't beg for attention feels like a breath of fresh air. While other men are saying, "Pick me," the Sigma is saying nothing, but still being seen. Why? Because he's already chosen himself. He doesn't need her to feel like a man, and that's rare. Take a woman who's used to being the prize. She's used to men falling over themselves to please her. But when she meets a Sigma, he doesn't react like the rest. He's kind but not overeager, present but not emotionally dependent. And that unfamiliar calm, it gets under her skin. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because he truly is hard to grasp. This flips the entire dynamic. She finds herself thinking about him, wanting to understand him, wanting to be around that peace. The more he stays grounded in who he is, the more she leans in. Because when a man isn't trying to win her, he already has. Number 2, he has already walked away from better. And that changes the way he moves, the way he speaks, and the way he connects. See, most people stay in situations just because they're afraid of starting over. They tolerate disrespect, they hold on to people who drain them, and they convince themselves it's love. But a Sigma male? He doesn't operate like that. If something no longer serves his peace or growth, he lets it go. No matter how good it once was, that's what makes him different. He's not scared to walk away, not because he's cold or careless, but because he knows his worth. He knows that losing someone isn't the end of him. It's just a shift, a redirection. And that mindset makes him powerful in a way that most people can't understand. Women feel this without him saying a word. They can sense that he's not holding on out of fear. He's not waiting for her to complete him or make his life feel meaningful. He's already built that meaning on his own. He's already had good relationships and left them because they no longer aligned with his peace. That kind of courage is rare and deeply attractive. Imagine a woman who's used to men begging her to stay, apologizing just to keep the connection alive. Then she meets him, the Sigma, and he's calm, kind. But if something feels off, he lets go without a second thought. That shakes her. Not in a cruel way, but in a deeply honest way, because he's not just showing her how he treats her, he's showing her how he treats himself. That quiet self-respect, that ability to walk away without drama or bitterness leaves a mark. She realizes she can't manipulate him with silence. She can't bait him into chasing. He's been through better and still chose peace. So if he's with her, it's not out of need. It's out of choice. And that's what makes him unforgettable. Number 3. He doesn't feed her ego. He feeds her mind. And that alone separates him from almost every other man she's met. Most men think compliments are the way in. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her she's special. Tell her what she wants to hear. It works. For a moment. But then what? The high fades. The words blur together. Because flattery without substance is just noise. A Sigma male knows this. He's not the type to hand out empty praise just to make her feel good. He's not there to boost her ego or say things just to win her over. Instead, he challenges her. Not in a rude or arrogant way, but in a way that makes her think deeper. He listens closely, asks real questions, and doesn't agree just to keep the peace. He sees through the surface. He's more interested in the way her mind works than how perfect her selfie looks. And when he talks to her, she feels it. It's not about impressing. It's about connecting. She starts to share things she doesn't tell anyone else. Not because he pries, but because his presence makes her feel like her thoughts actually matter. This throws her off in the best way. She's used to being admired for how she looks, but he makes her curious about what she thinks. He brings up things she hasn't considered, opens doors in her mind that have been closed for years. Suddenly, a conversation with him leaves her energized, reflective, even a little unsettled, in a good way. And that's what keeps her coming back. Because he's not addicted to her beauty. He's addicted to her intelligence, her depth, her realness. He's not trying to be her fan. He's trying to be her equal, and that makes him rare. That makes him unforgettable. Number 4, she senses he doesn't need her, but he sees her, and that's exactly what makes her stay. There's a huge difference between a man who wants you and a man who needs you. One feels open and honest. The other feels heavy and forced. A Sigma male has already built a life he enjoys. He's not looking for someone to fill a gap or fix his loneliness. He's whole on his own, so when he chooses to let someone in, it's real. No hidden motive, no silent expectations, and women can feel that. They're used to men who say all the right things but secretly hope for something in return. Validation, attention, approval. The Sigma doesn't play that game. He shows up as himself, and if she's real, she stays. If she's not, he doesn't chase. That quiet confidence says more than any sweet words ever could. But here's the deeper part. Just because he doesn't need her doesn't mean he's distant or cold. Quite the opposite. When she speaks, he actually listens. Not to respond, not to impress, but to understand. He notices the little things, what she avoids talking about, what lights her up, what she hides behind her smile. He sees beyond the surface, and that makes her feel something she rarely feels, truly recognized. And in that space, where there's no pressure, no game, just pure attention, her guard starts to drop. Not because he forced it, but because his presence feels safe. There's no power play, no performance, just a man who could live without her, but chooses not to. That's the part that stays with her. Not because he needs her to complete his life, but because he sees her clearly and still welcomes her into his world. That quiet respect. It's rare, and it leaves a permanent mark. Number 5. He doesn't follow the script. And in a world where everyone's trying to be a copy of something that already worked, that alone makes him magnetic. Most guys follow a formula, say this, do that, play it cool, then get her attention. It's robotic. You can almost see the steps playing out. But the Sigma male? He's different. There is no script, no formula, no rehearsed moves. He just moves how he feels, authentically, unpredictably, and without trying to fit anyone's mold. This unpredictability doesn't come from confusion, it comes from depth. He knows who he is, and that makes him impossible to pin down. One day he's calm and introspective, the next, he's off building something in silence. He's not mysterious because he's hiding something. He's mysterious because he's not performing, and that natural mystery, it keeps her on her toes. She's used to patterns. She knows what most guys will say next. She can almost predict their compliments, their insecurities, their moves, but with him, nothing is forced. He doesn't do what's expected. He doesn't try to charm. He doesn't try to impress. And yet, without even trying, he becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. She can't read him. not completely, and that unsettles her in the best way. It makes her want to understand him more, spend more time around him, and figure out what drives him. But the more time she spends, the more she realizes he's not here to be figured out. He's here to be experienced. The Sigma male doesn't follow the usual love story. He writes his own chapters, and the unpredictability of it all isn't chaos, it's freedom. That freedom is rare, and that rarity, that's what makes him unforgettable. Number 6, she can't label him, and that bothers her in the best way. People love labels. It makes life easier to process. Alpha means dominant. Beta means soft. Nice guy, bad boy, player, lover. They're all categories that help people feel in control of what they're dealing with. But when she meets a Sigma male, that system breaks. He doesn't fit any of the usual types. He's confident but doesn't show off. He's kind but won't let anyone walk over him. He's quiet but not shy. He's distant but deeply observant. And just when she thinks she has him figured out, he does something that makes her realize she never really did. That contradiction is exactly what pulls her in. Most men are predictable. She knows what they want, she knows how they'll act, but with him there's no clear pattern. He lives by his own code, not what society says a man should be. He can lead without needing to be followed. He can love without losing himself. He can be around people, yet still seem completely untouched by the crowd. This makes her mind race in ways it normally doesn't. She finds herself thinking about him when he's not around, replaying conversations, reading into the pauses. It's not about obsession, it's about intrigue. He stirs curiosity in her, not just emotion. The Sigma male lives outside the system, and that's exactly what makes him unforgettable. He doesn't ask to be understood. He simply is. And the more she tries to define him, the more she realizes he's the one who defines the moment. Number 7. His energy forces her to reflect on herself. Being around a Sigma male is not always comfortable, and that's exactly why it's powerful. He's not the type to match your mood just to make things easy. He doesn't echo your emotions to win favor. Instead, he stands firm in his own state of mind. And that calm, grounded energy, it hits different. It doesn't blend in. It makes you stop and look inward. Women who meet him often find themselves asking questions they've never asked before. Why do I react like this? Why do I need that kind of attention? Why do I feel seen even when he says nothing? It's not because he's trying to analyze or fix anyone. It's simply because he exists with clarity, and that clarity exposes all the noise in her own life. He doesn't judge, but he doesn't sugarcoat either. His presence alone creates a kind of emotional contrast. If she's full of drama, he remains calm. If she plays games, he doesn't bite. That neutrality reflects her behavior back to her, not to punish, but to wake her up, to make her more aware. And in a world where most people are either reactive or manipulative, his stillness feels like a rare kind of truth. The Sigma doesn't try to heal anyone. He's not a project guy. But his way of moving through life with honesty, with boundaries, with quiet strength, makes people see themselves more clearly, especially women who aren't used to being challenged in this way. He's not there to fix her. He's there to show her who she really is when all the noise fades. And for the ones who are ready, that kind of reflection is unforgettable, because he doesn't force growth. He invites it, just by being exactly who he is. Number 8. He doesn't beg for loyalty, but commands it through his absence. The Sigma male doesn't chase loyalty. He doesn't demand it, manipulate it, or plead for it. Instead, he operates with quiet clarity. He gives what he expects. He's honest, consistent, and deeply present with those he cares about. But the moment someone crosses a line or takes him for granted, he vanishes. Not with drama, not with revenge, just silence, final and clean. And that silence hits harder than any outburst ever could. Most people are used to second chances. They're used to arguing, apologizing, and dragging things out. But when a Sigma walks away, he does it in a way that feels permanent. There are no long speeches, no back and forth, no guilt trips. He simply decides, this no longer aligns with who I am, and he's gone. That's what makes him unforgettable. A woman who loses a Sigma male doesn't replay what he said. She replays what he didn't say. The conversations that never happened. The closure that never came. The way he just disappeared, like he was never dependent on the connection to begin with. His absence becomes the reminder of what his presence actually meant. And suddenly, the things she overlooked, the way he listened, the way he protected his peace, the way he respected her space, become the very things she can't stop thinking about. He doesn't need to teach lessons. His silence does the teaching. His boundaries speak louder than words. And the loyalty he commands isn't from fear or pressure. It's from knowing that once he's gone, there's no coming back. That kind of self-respect creates a different kind of impact. It's not loud, but it lasts. Number 9. He is emotionally dangerous, but spiritually grounding. There's a certain tension that comes with being around a Sigma male. Not because he's reckless or toxic, but because he doesn't handle emotions the way most people do. He doesn't coddle. He doesn't play into insecurities just to feel needed. Instead, he holds space for truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And that truth can shake a woman to her core. He doesn't try to fix her. He doesn't promise to always make her feel good. What he does is far more powerful. He challenges her to look deeper, to question the parts of herself she hides behind validation, attention, and fear. He makes her confront emotions she's been avoiding, simply because his presence doesn't give her room to hide. That kind of emotional impact can feel dangerous, because it's raw, it's unfiltered. It forces her to let go of the illusions that once made her feel safe. But underneath that discomfort is something rare, a deep sense of grounding. He's not moved by chaos. He doesn't feed off emotional highs and lows. He stays centered even when things get messy. And in doing so, he offers her something few ever do, a stable mirror, one that shows her what she truly needs to see, not just what she wants to hear. He may trigger her, but not out of cruelty. He does it by simply being real. And in that realness, she starts to realize that her emotions aren't her enemy. Her illusions are. He doesn't heal her through comfort. He heals her through clarity. And that kind of clarity, it leaves her changed. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. Number 10, she trusts him with her darkness, not just her beauty. Most men are drawn to the polished version of a woman, the one who's smiling, glowing, confident, and easy to admire. But the Sigma male, he pays attention to the parts she doesn't show off, the parts she tries to downplay, the parts she thinks are too much, too messy, too broken. That's where his interest begins. He's not scared off by her wounds. He doesn't flinch when she shows emotion that isn't pretty. If anything, it earns his respect, because he understands that real connection isn't built through surface-level perfection. It's built through truth, and truth isn't always soft. She starts to realize this when he listens without interrupting, when he doesn't rush to solve her problems or brush off her pain, when he just sits with it, with her. No judgment, no awkwardness, just quiet acceptance. For some women, that's new, and it's powerful. He doesn't shame her for being guarded. He doesn't demand she open up. But when she does, even in small ways, he handles it with care. Not pity, not fake support, just presence. And in that space, she feels something rare, a man who can stand in her darkness and not try to run from it or change it. It's not that he enjoys pain, it's that he honors truth. And when she sees that, when she feels seen in the parts of herself she's always hidden, her trust deepens in a way that even love can't fake. She knows she can show him every side of herself, not just the soft, not just the sensual, but the silent storms too. And he'll stay still, listening, not because he has to, but because he wants to understand all of her. That's not just intimacy, that's freedom. Number 11. He's not impressed by her options, and that changes the entire game. She may be used to attention, to men trying to win her over, trying to prove they're better than the last. Some flash their success, some try charm, others beg for a chance. But the Sigma male, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't compete. He doesn't care who else wants her, because he's not trying to be picked. He's already chosen himself. There's no jealousy in him, no subtle pressure, no emotional bribes. He doesn't measure his worth against anyone else. So while others are busy trying to earn her, he's doing something far more powerful, staying grounded in who he is. That sends a quiet but clear message. You're free to stay, and just as free to leave. He doesn't say it out loud, but his calm detachment makes it obvious. And that kind of self-possession hits differently. It tells her he's not with her because he's afraid of losing her. He's with her because he wants to be. And if she walks away, he won't beg. He won't chase. He'll simply go back to doing what he was doing before, living fully, thinking deeply, and building a life that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. That shakes her, not because he's cold, but because he's unbothered. And in a world full of emotionally reactive men, that kind of emotional control feels rare, irresistible, even intimidating. He doesn't need to fight for a seat at her table. He is the table. If she sees it, great. If not, he still eats. In conclusion, a man who knows himself doesn't compete. He attracts. When all the noise fades, when the charm wears off, when the performance is over, what's left speaks the loudest. And that's where the Sigma male stands alone. He doesn't fight to be seen. He doesn't ask to be chosen. He lives in a way that makes the right people notice. Women choose him not because he begs for attention or bends to fit into their world, but because he creates his own world and invites them into it without pressure. His value doesn't scream. It whispers. But that whisper carries weight. He doesn't try to fit expectations. He challenges them. He doesn't promise forever. He offers truth. And truth, especially in a time where everyone's trying to be something they're not, feels like a rare and powerful thing. He doesn't chase attention because he understands something deeper. Presence is more powerful than pursuit. If you're a Sigma male, you may not always feel seen. You may feel like you move differently from everyone else, and you're right. But that's not your weakness. That's your edge. You are not misunderstood. You are simply not easily defined. And that's what makes your presence feel unforgettable. Keep being intentional. Keep staying rooted in your values. Keep choosing quality over noise. Because the right people will see you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you've always been. And when they do, you won't need to convince anyone of your worth. You'll simply live it. And that's why, even when she has 1,000 options, the one she remembers is you. Stay sharp. Stay grounded. Stay you. Thank you, watching.